ideas for y'all about what it can look like. The first is taking time to reclaim our humanity. There is a system around us and a history that has dehumanized us all. That so long as we allow that to persist, we will have a hard time restoring our balance with each other, and we'll have a hard time restoring our balance with the earth. See, humans have this little idea that we're human supremacists. But guess what? You cannot drink oil and you cannot eat money. So part of reclaiming our humanity is actually understanding where humanity rests in the big picture of our mother, of the earth. Understanding that we are actually a part of a bigger ecological story, and that we must learn to follow the lead of those, the first peoples of this land, who know what it is to be caretakers of the land. And for some of us, it is very hard for us to follow anyone. The second thing is, we must, same as we expect justice to be fully intact, we must be dissatisfied with any movement that does not allow anyone else's humanity to be fully intact. I think about communities like our LGBTQIA community that is still struggling to be a part of most movements, not because they don't want to be, but usually because we don't allow them to be. And if we keep anyone outside of the wall of justice, our humanity will not be fully intact because we have denied someone else the right to be their whole self. This is not new history. In a lot of ways, we are in a loop. So how do we do the loop differently? And thinking about your community, I know that y'all have a very incredible woman who's getting ready to run for governor of your state. I don't know a lot about Paulette Jordan, but what I do know, I deeply appreciate. And it's my understanding she would be the first Native woman to be governor of any state, which is very sad. However, y'all have the opportunity to organize in your communities, have the opportunity to organize with your families, to see Paulette become the first Native governor of any state, but of this state in particular, and to transform what it means to have politics. We've been doing business as usual for a long time, and we've allowed the political structure to be male-dominated, wealth-dominated, and dominated by one religious faith. And folks like Paulette Jordan, simply by her lived experience and the community that she brings to the table, and her campaign, and eventually in her governorship, I'm just gonna claim it, will transform this state and contribute to transforming our nation. The next is, your young people, I had a very impressive conversation with them yesterday. They asked some challenging questions. In fact, one young woman asked me if I could talk about the role of capitalism in education and how that promotes materialism. I was like, wow. This is what your young people in your town are thinking about. I would like you to ask yourselves, what spaces are you creating where they get to vocalize their dreams and vision for the future? An elder by the name of Nikkita, she's also a poet, said to me this week when I asked her, what does she think young people could be doing more of? She said, I don't think it's my place to tell you because this is the world I gave you. What you choose to do is the vision you must create. And what I'm wondering is, how are y'all supporting these young folks and bringing forth the vision they have? Because clearly they are asking very deep and very relevant questions. The last thing is yourself. MLK said that the greatest obstacle to freedom for Black peoples and brown peoples and Native peoples was not the Ku Klux Klaner or the White Citizens Council, but the white moderate who preferred order more than justice. Sometimes we have to enter into a space of chaos in order to allow justice to settle into that space. And that makes us uncomfortable. I invite you to get uncomfortable, to be uncomfortable, experience ideas, peoples, and places, not to go and lead, not to go and tell people what to do, but to hear, to listen, and be made uncomfortable with your own self so you can interrogate what role you play in society. There is an activist by the name of Grace Lee Boggs, God rest her soul, who said, "A revolution that pushes back against those who seek to find ways to divide and rule and pushes towards a movement which honors and transforms ourselves, our communities, and our relationships to each other is what's most necessary." And she grounds the idea of justice and transformation in our relationships. What I find most beautiful about Moscow, and what each and every one of you has said, regardless of race, class, or creed, is that there is a community here of relationships that works both with the university and with the local town, and that y'all are consistently finding ways to move. This is your greatest strength. And it is what will lead you all, and lead many of us, into the next step of what justice looks like. And I'll finish here. Do you mind if I do a poem? Okay. I firmly believe that we are our own greatest medicine. That there is not anything really outside of ourselves that we need, but merely the willingness to dig deep within ourselves to find it. I'm a boxer. And the challenge about boxing is you train for months and months and months, and then you finally get in the ring with an opponent who really wants to beat you up. And the question is, how far down can you dig to find that victory? And so I wrote this poem through my experience as a boxer. When I tell people I'm a boxer, they almost always ask me the same 3 questions. 1, do you get hit? 2, does it ever hurt? 3, but do you ever bleed? And I'm thinking, duh, it's boxing. But my mother raised me right, so I'm polite and I say, yes, I get hit. Sometimes it hurts, and every now and again I bleed. They go, oh! Because see, most people are afraid of blood. Most people are afraid of seeing blood. Most people are most afraid of seeing their own blood, so I tell them this is not the first time I've held my own blood in my hands. Watch the red droplets pool after a string of fighting words smash hard against my face. I'm learning. Boxing and life are really not that much different. My coach keeps telling me, Nikkita, you gotta learn to keep your eyes up. But truth is, I still haven't figured out how to keep my head up. So as coach cleans me up, I stare at the carnage, settled into the folds of my flesh, the looking glass of my family tree, and I think, dang, is this all that I'm made of? And I see Muhammad Ali said, if they can make penicillin out of moldy bread, then they sure can make something out of me. So tell me, my blood, my body, what I am made of, so I may know exactly what I can be made into. Spare me no record of wrongs, that I might not become a broken record, repeating my family's history time and time again. Let me open every closet in this house, because I am sure there are more closets in this house for me to hide my own skeletons. Tell me about my mother's father, how he liked white sheets in the dark of night, his cross set ablaze and burning in the eyes of little girls that look no different than me. How he liked his woman silent and empty. Tell me about my mother's mother, how she filled up the silence and the empty, built herself up a broken home around my mama. Show me my mama. Little girl huddled on a tear-drenched floor beneath a roof too holy to shelter her from the downpour of belts and hands. Tell me about my father's father. Tell me a sharecropper's story of backbreaking work and empty stomachs filled to the brim with Negro spirituals. Let me hear my father's mother, my Baba, sing our spirituals. She'd be like, wait in the water, just wait in the water, children. Can you hear her singing? How she raised her children up high, above corn and cotton, and taught them to flee before they could be plucked. Let me see the glint of promise in their eyes as their hearts beat hard against rubber, melted down, flexed to once again be plow and ox. Let me feel how cotton, plastic, feel no different in your palms when your bootstraps still refuse to fit this so-called American dream. Please show me just one dream, how black and white have always been the making of a classic movie. Show me the stars in my parents' eyes when they found out they were gonna have this sweet but sick little baby, and my mother My father, so used to fleeing danger that he cannot figure out how to stay firmly put. Teach me how to stay firmly put. Remind me I am a boxer, I am a fighter, that there is no rot or rust or mold that I cannot transform, that rot and rust and mold have been made into medicine. Remind me I am my own medicine. I am my own medicine. I am my own medicine. So you who also have rot and rust and mold, you too are your own medicine, and together we are the greatest medicine we could ever need. Please hear me when I say this. I do not blame anyone for the history that you were given, but I do hold us 100% culpable for what we choose to do with it. And I close with that poem because I think it's important to remember and acknowledge that we and our shared story together and the ways in which we choose to tell that story and be a part of it, we are our own medicine. We can also be our own poison. At the end of the day, the choice is 100% ours. Thank you so much.